the new State of Illinois Workforce portal that is now live on Illinois workNet. And this webinar will provide an overview of the tool along with its features in order to show job seekers how they can connect with employers with our virtual job fair areas. And when it comes time for questions, you may also leave them in the chat. So this is accessible on the Illinois workNet homepage. You can get to this at illinoisworknet.com. And there are 3 sections listed right here, but we'll focus only on 2 for the job seekers and the virtual job fair itself. So the job seekers section has 2 buttons. You have Explore Resources and Build Your Resume. The Explore Resources button takes users to a quick start guide for job seekers. And this guide has tools and resources that are on Illinois workNet that can assist job seekers with finding a job, networking, planning for training, qualifying for jobs, and exploring careers. And next to each item on this page is a brief video of that topic of what is available on Illinois workNet. And there are also Spanish versions of each of these videos once the English versions have finished playing. The resume, or the Build Your Resume button takes you to the Illinois workNet resume writing guide. And this guide includes articles and resources that you can utilize to create or enhance your resume, no matter where you are in the resume writing process. And there's also information and instructions on how you can access the resume building tool for free on Illinois workNet with an account. And so going back to the home page, the other section that we're going to take a look at is the virtual job fair. And the 2 buttons here are setting up your virtual job fair and search for virtual job fairs. And the setting up virtual job fair button takes you to a page where employers can set up their employer booth page. So we'll focus, for the purposes of this webinar, we'll focus on the search virtual job fairs button. And so clicking on this button takes you to the virtual job fair page. At the top of this page are 2 sections. The set up virtual job fairs, which takes you to the how to set up a booth for employers, and the search virtual job fairs. And clicking on this will send you a little bit further down on this page to where you can view the employer booth sections. And here you can see the different employer booths of organizations that are hiring in Illinois. And from this view, you can see the number of job openings for each employer. And you can also search by typing in the name of an employer in the search box. You can filter by industry, and you can also search by address or location. And you can also scroll through the list below, which is sorted alphabetically. And so clicking on one of these employer booths will take you to an employer booth page. And here you can see the name and logo of the employer, different social media links, the employer's website and address, job information that includes the number of job openings. And this includes a link where job seekers can learn more about what job openings are available. You can also see the industry of the employer, a description about the organization that is hiring, contact information where you can reach out and communicate with a representative from that organization, links with information to upcoming virtual job fair events. And there's also a View All Events button that will take users to a calendar view of the upcoming virtual job fair events. Under the archived VJF videos section, employers can add previously recorded webinars of job fair events that you can then refer to and watch. There's also documents section with information related to job openings or the hiring process, and links to other pages that are relevant to that organization. And users can navigate back to the virtual job fair page by clicking the back to list. Small text in this image up here, but and that'll take you back to the top of the employer booth page. There's also from the employer booth page that lists all of them. There's also a tab you can click called Virtual Job Fair Events. And when you're here, you can see what upcoming virtual job fair events are on Illinois WorkNet in the event calendar by clicking that VJF events button. And from there, you can search by city or zip code, keywords, if you know the local workforce innovation area you are in, or LWIAs. And you can also look at a monthly or daily view of the calendar. And it should be noted that we're currently in the process of scheduling and adding virtual job fair events to this calendar, so you'll want to check in on this periodically as more events are going to be added. And so let me do a new screen share here. I can show you a demonstration of this page, these pages. Okay, so I'm going to show you a live demonstration of these different pages here. This is the home page, illinoisworknet.com. There's the job seeker sections, this first button, explore resources. There's that quick start guide that we were talking about. And each of these sections here also link to other resources and tools that we have on Illinois WorkNet, depending where you are in the job search process. And the other button under job seekers takes you to the resume writing guide, which you can navigate through. It walks you through the resume writing process. And clicking on learn more will take you to an article with more information about that step in the resume writing process. And then we also have the resume building tool, which provides instruction and more information about how you can utilize that. And then under virtual job fair, search virtual job fairs button will take you to here. Clicking that will send you a little bit further down the page. And here's where you can view the employers that have booth entries and the number of positions open for employers. Closer view of an employer here, employer booth. And so if there aren't any virtual job fair events that have been added yet to an employer booth, you can click the view all events button and that'll take you to the calendar view, which we'll look at in a moment here. And so here's this calendar view. Go to June, for example. When viewing an event, you'll see, the date and time of when it's taking place. If you click on this, you'll see more information about the event, including a link where you can register for that event. And after completing registration in Eventbrite, you'll receive an email that will include the Zoom or other webinar platform information so that you're able to join on the day of the event. And I believe that was all that I wanted to cover in terms of the PowerPoint and the demonstration. So I think we can open it up to any questions. Please feel free to use the chat feature to ask any questions. Let's see, how/where are you getting the information about dates of upcoming virtual job fairs? These are coordinated. This webinar is more for the job seekers, Kathy, but tomorrow morning's webinar at the same time will cover more for employers. But in terms of getting information, we're working with the employers to get different virtual job fair events scheduled. And we have a calendar that we're working on now. Yeah, I can see Olivia responding in the chat there. But we expect to see, the number of events, in the next coming weeks to increase as, more and more employers are using our tools. Cheryl, you said you tried going through the process and it seemed you had to complete each section to go to next steps. That sounds like it might be more for the webinar tomorrow about going through the steps of adding an employer booth. Gary asks, is there a way to view a recording of this Zoom call again? Yes, we are recording this presentation, and we can, once we upload it to YouTube, we can send a link to you that you can then share. And we can also include a copy of the PowerPoint that's been used. What does the actual fair look like? Is it just Zoom chat where employers talk about their openings? Is it interactive? How do job seekers interact with employers in those spaces? So yes, the job fairs themselves will be like a Zoom call where employers will share information about their organization, hiring processes, the job openings that are available, how many positions that are opening, how many, or what they're looking for in a candidate. That's sort of up to the discretion of the employer in the agenda that they compile. But at first, initially, it'll be kind of informational and Zoom chat where job seeker, where you can ask them questions about the organization or the jobs that are opening. But I know moving forward in the future, we will want to include more interactive virtual job fair events in those spaces such as Zoom. What happens when an applicant registers for the virtual event? They click on, do they get to speak with anyone? No, initially, so what they'll do here, let me take another view of this in the event calendar. So what'll happen is they'll click this link to register for the event. And in going through the registration process, they'll fill out information so that they can get a spot in Eventbrite, and then they're emailed the webinar information for, in this case, the Lexington Square Virtual Job Fair on June 2nd. And you'll receive an email showing what the URL to join the webinar is, what meeting ID, call-in number, and and all the pertinent information so that they can join. And then on the day of the webinar, they can communicate with the employer. So setting up a virtual job fair is done by the employers, not by job seekers. Correct. Virtual job fair, the employer, these booths that are on this page here, and the events themselves, those will be set up by the employers and our staff that will coordinate. So yeah, the only thing that job seekers really have to do is, they can learn more about the virtual job fair, about the employer that is hiring, and attend any online events, virtual job fair events that are listed in the calendar. Can we search by position for open jobs to determine if worthwhile to attend a particular job fair? No, we don't have a search by job, but to narrow it down, we do have the filter by industry, and that can narrow down the jobs that you would be interested in, and the events that you'd be interested in participating. See, a couple other questions in the chat here. Find a job that's ideal and apply to find out the job has been filled. So how often are the job openings updated? Each employer booth has, there are contacts we have for that employer's organization. And I think when you would, and they have access to edit this at their discretion. I believe in viewing this link here, which will have information about the types of jobs that are opening. That this link here would then show. I can scroll down here, and every employer website is different, obviously, but each. This link here would link to the job openings that are available. So if on our website it says 20, but you click in here and it's more or less, it would really be on the employer's website there. So the event is where the employer talks about their company and their jobs. How do we explore further with them, i.e. get them our resume? So in that case, in applying to the jobs, you'll be asked to submit your resume. And so when you're going through the application process for an opening, you would submit it in the application, but also you can explore the employer's website further to learn more information about them as well. Let's see, if we click on the open positions link under any employers, will it show any job descriptions? No, that does not link anywhere. This will still take you to that employer booth page. How long is each virtual job fair event? Do job seekers register for one event and then virtually visit individual employer booths? So each virtual job fair event is, can be 30 to 60 minutes. It's really up to the employer and scheduling their event and how much they want to fit into that allotted time frame. And job seekers can register for the event and attend that one and attend multiple online events, and view different individual employer booths, and in the event that there are two different events occurring at the same time, these will be recorded so they can then, while they can attend one event, they can visit the employer booth page for the other event that they were unable to attend. And under this archived VJF videos section, you can see that recording of that job fair event. And yes, you can send all questions about the virtual job fair tool to info@illinoisworknet.com. And I believe as of now, we've answered every question in the chat. Are there any other questions?
Yes, please definitely add any questions you have to the chat, and we have a few minutes left, so we can still make sure we're getting over them.
Any sense of how many job fairs there will be in June? I am hesitant to put a specific number on that. We're continuously reaching out to employers to add any virtual job fair events. So yeah, I would say to, frequently check in on this calendar view here. That way you can see, for the month of June and moving forward, how many virtual job fair events that there are.
And the rest of this week and throughout next week, our team is going to be doing a lot of marketing and working with the businesses to help get those virtual job fair event numbers up. So I would definitely, as David said, recommend checking back in the next coming weeks. And we anticipate seeing those numbers start climbing as we begin providing training to our businesses on using these tools and getting their virtual job fairs added to our calendar.
Are there email blasts from Illinois WorkNet for virtual job fair? We have a email list that you can subscribe to that includes updates such as, if there's a major enhancement to virtual job fairs, the virtual job fair tool or other Illinois WorkNet tools, you can, on this homepage here, illinoisworknet.com, enter your email address to subscribe to our different email lists. But specifically for virtual job fairs, there are not any email blasts. But between checking the virtual job fair page and the calendar here and our social media channels, you will be able to remain informed about the virtual job fair tool.
We have about 4 minutes left. Does anybody else have any additional questions that they would like us to cover?
Well, if there are no other questions, there's one that just came in here. Are these virtual job fairs looking to hire in the city of Chicago? That would really depend on the employer's situation, whether or not on their employer website, they'll indicate whether or not the positions are virtual, or you can work from home, or if you need to be there in person. And they'll also, when you visit that employer's website to learn more about their jobs, it'll show the location in the state where they're hiring, whether it's in Chicago or elsewhere in the state. Is this only for people on unemployment? No, this is honestly for job seekers in general, whether you are employed or unemployed. This is a job board for employers that are hiring in Illinois. As an employment specialist, is it possible to track the clients hired? I admittedly am not sure how to answer that. I don't believe so. No. Well, I should say, Olivia responded in the chat there. We're working with DCEO and IDES to develop metrics and analytics, and this is something that the state would look to do, not Illinois workNet. And so it looks like we are at just about at 11:30. So I want to thank everyone for joining and participating in this webinar. If you have any additional questions, you can send those to info@illinoisworknet.com. Thanks.